Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. Today we are going on another nutrition exploration and we are going to be focusing on iron. And I'm specifically going to be talking about why iron is important, what kind of functions it does inside of the body, the differences between the types of iron that are in our foods, and then we're going to be talking about the best vegan sources of iron, and I'll give you some recipe inspiration towards the end. As always with these types of videos, I also have a blog post that goes along with it that details everything that we're talking about, all of the specific sources, the amounts in each. So if you want to get more details, you can find that in the description box down below this video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into iron. All right, so the first thing is to talk about what iron is and why it's important. Iron is a mineral and it is arguably one of the most important in the body. It's also one of the minerals that a lot of people are deficient in, or at least has a higher probability of being deficient in, especially if you follow a plant-based diet. So iron is responsible for the production of hemoglobin in our bodies. And hemoglobin molecules are basically there to transport oxygen throughout our system. So most of them can be found inside of our blood, obviously, and that's where a lot of the iron is stored. About 60 to 70% of the iron in our body is found in our hemoglobin molecules. Other places that iron is found inside of the body are things like our liver, our kidneys, and some of our other organs. And basically it just lives there so that the hemoglobin can pull from those storage areas if it needs any extra. So there are two main forms of iron. There's heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron, which is more easily absorbed by the body, is what is found in animal products. So heme iron is about 10 to up to 30% absorbable, whereas non-heme iron, which is what is found in plant-based sources, is less absorbable, maybe about 8 to 10%. So that means if you are following a plant-based diet, you have to be a little bit more mindful of your iron and getting in adequate amounts of iron and also ensuring that you're absorbing iron. So if you are at all wondering if you're deficient in iron, the only thing that I can recommend is that you get a blood test done, go to a functional medicine doctor or just any sort of doctor, have a blood panel done, and that will give you a sense of where you fall in the range. So now that we kind of know a little bit about what iron is and what it does for us, let's talk about the best vegan sources of iron. Number one is soybeans, and soybeans, which obviously are a bean, are also the base of a lot of plant-based protein options for those of us who are following a plant-based diet. Things like tofu, tempeh, edamame, those are all forms of soy, also soy milk, and that is a really good way to get in some extra iron. The one thing to keep in mind if you are somebody that consumes soy is that you want to make sure that you're buying organic and non-GMO varieties. Just is a little bit easier on your system, easier for your body to absorb and digest, and just healthier for the overall world and your own health in general. The second highest source of iron is molasses, and molasses is a natural sweetener, but it actually is also surprisingly high in a lot of minerals. Molasses is that kind of dark, rich, chocolatey flavor almost that you get in things like gingerbread. So I personally pretty much only use molasses in gingerbread flavored things, but I do have a few gingerbread recipes on the blog. And molasses is really easy to find at almost every single grocery store. I personally always make sure to buy an organic one, but you can choose whichever one you want. And surprisingly, it is high in iron. So that's kind of a benefit of all of the gingerbread inspired recipes. Number 3 on our list are lentils. Lentils and beans in general are great sources of iron and of course also plant-based protein. What I personally love about lentils is they are incredibly versatile and there are a ton of different varieties. So you can choose everything from green or brown lentils, which are kind of the more traditional lentils, black lentils or French lentils, which are smaller and they have a little bit of a more almost nutty kind of crunchy texture. They're awesome in salads. Or you can look for something like a red lentil, which is more along the lines of a split pea. It kind of turns to mush as you cook, but it's so delicious in curries. I have an amazing sweet potato and red lentil curry on the site that is just to die for. So lentils are an amazing source of iron, but also a really great source of protein, and there are so many ways to add them into your diet. Number 4 on our list is quinoa, the almighty quinoa. You guys know that I am a fan of using quinoa pretty much every which way. And just like lentils, quinoa is incredibly versatile. Not only can you find it in the whole seed form, so adding it into salads or things like that, quinoa flour is also incredibly versatile. It can be used in pretty much any form of baked good that you want. I have tons of quinoa flour recipes on my site. Quinoa flour has also been used in gluten-free pastas, so you might even find quinoa pastas at your grocery store. That's another way to get quinoa into your diet. And of course, there are also quinoa flakes, which I also use in a lot of my baking, things like cookies and granola, even just like a hot breakfast cereal. Quinoa is a great source not only of iron, but also protein and fiber. It's a complex carbohydrate, so it digests a little bit more easily in the system. And it's also high in a few other trace minerals like magnesium, manganese, and phosphorus. Number 5 on our list are pumpkin seeds. And pumpkin seeds, admittedly, are not something that I honestly eat all that much, although I know they are incredibly nutrient and mineral rich. They're probably one of the most mineral and nutrient rich seeds out there. So they're a really great thing to incorporate into your diet. I just personally kind of forget about them, even though I always have them in my cabinet. You can just do something as simple as sprinkling them on top of your salad or on top of your oatmeal. You could add them into your smoothies, and they are a great source of plant-based protein. They're full of healthy fats, and they're full of things like iron as well as a few other trace minerals. So pumpkin seeds are something that I definitely recommend you pick up next time you're at the store and just keep in your pantry to use here and there as a simple way to get in a little bit of extra iron into your plant-based diet. Number 6 is the almighty chickpea, another ingredient that I personally use in my cooking pretty much all the time, definitely on a weekly basis. Love chickpeas, everything from hummus to crispy chickpeas on top of salad, soups with chickpeas, blending them up to use in baking. I think chickpeas are one of those beans that are just incredibly versatile. I don't find that they have as strong of a taste as some of the other beans. I think they're kind of mild. They're really high in protein, really high in fiber, and again, also really high in iron as well as a few other trace minerals, including calcium. The next 2 on our list are actually both greens. Number 7 is Swiss chard. And as I was doing some research in my nutrition books as well as online, and I was looking for some of the highest sources of iron in the plant-based diet, I was actually kind of surprised to come along Swiss chard because I don't feel like Swiss chard makes many lists, although it is a very healthy ingredient. Not something that I personally almost ever use, although after doing all of the research and learning more about it, I'm definitely going to start. Swiss chard is great because not only is it the highest green source of iron, so in the greens world, it has the highest source of iron, but it's also kind of mild in terms of flavor, unlike kale or things like collards or some of the more spicy greens like mustard greens. I would say that chard is more taste-wise along the lines of spinach, really easy to incorporate into things like smoothies. Also, you can saute it and it's absolutely delicious with some olive oil, lemon, and garlic. You can stir it into salads. You could chop it up finely into ribbons, toss it into your salads. You could add it into a tofu or egg scramble. Really, there are no end of ways to use Swiss chard. And it's also just incredibly good for you. And it tends to be a little bit on the cheaper side versus something like kale. So maybe next time you're at the store, try picking up a bunch of Swiss chard instead of kale or spinach, which is our next one, and try incorporating it into your diet and see what you think of it. Number 8 on our list is spinach. Spinach is my one true love when it comes to greens. I buy spinach every single week. It's in my staple grocery list video that I shared last week. And I just think spinach is fabulous. I love the taste of spinach. I love the variety of being able to use spinach. I love adding it into my smoothie bowls. I love putting it on sandwiches. I love sauteing it. I really think that spinach is one of those things that you can use in probably a million different ways, even just blending it up into a green muffin or something like that. So easy to use and incredibly healthy. Of course, spinach is really high in protein and fiber, which is great, packed with chlorophyll, which is really great for detoxifying. It's high in calcium, it's high in iron, of course. And like I said, it doesn't have much of a taste, so it's incredibly versatile in terms of how you want to use it. So if you're not already on the spinach train, hop on because spinach is fabulous. Number 9 is something that I also use quite regularly, and that is tahini. You guys know I love tahini. I love using it in my salad dressings. It's an amazing thing to just drizzle on top of roasted sweet potatoes. You can stir it into a dip. You can use it in smoothies. You can use it on top of toast. It is so good. It has such an awesome flavor too. If you've never tried tahini, it isn't quite as sweet as something like almond butter. It has a little bit of like a savoriness to it, but it's toasted. It's just like, oh, so good. So I highly recommend next time you're at the store, pick up some tahini. It is one of the most versatile, I think, nut and seed butters. Love, love, love it on top of salads. I will link my favorite tahini salad dressings down in the description box for you because I've done an entire video and blog post all about how to use tahini. And the last thing on our list is one of my favorite personal snacks, and that is dried figs. Figs are great. Not only are they just delicious, like they are just sweet, and I'm so excited whenever it's fig season. I finally started seeing them in the stores and I'm just like, ah! But dried figs specifically are really high in iron, and you luckily can find dried figs at pretty much every single grocery store. And my personal favorite way to eat figs, which might sound a little bit weird, is honestly just to take one dried fig, spread it with a little bit of peanut butter, maybe if I have some chia jam in my fridge, do a dollop of that on top of it and eat it like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It is to die for. It's honestly so good. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but they are such an awesome snack. And figs are also really nutritious. They're super high in fiber. They're great for digestion. They also have some natural sugars in them, so they're a little bit energizing, which is really great. And then in addition to all of those amazing properties, they're also high in calcium and they're high in iron. So they're one of those things that you could just throw in your bag, bring with you on the way to work or just while you're traveling, or you could chop them up, throw them into a salad or like a quinoa salad or something like that. There's a lot of different ways to eat figs, and I will be sharing some of those in the blog post that I mentioned. And there you have it, my friends. That is our list of the 10 best vegan sources of iron. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions for me, definitely leave them in the comments down below. Like I mentioned throughout the video, I do have a blog post that goes along with this video, so I've outlined everything. I've given you all of the specific measurements and amounts of iron in each of the serving sizes for the different sources. Of course, you also saw them on the screen, so if you want to rewind, you can do that, but the reading of the blog post might be like easier for you to just follow along and reference back to. Of course, I've also included some recipe inspiration, so if you're looking for ways to use some of these ingredients, that is found in the blog post as well. And if there are any other nutrients or minerals or anything like this that you would like featured on the channel, please let me know. We've done calcium as well as protein, and I have a few more on the blog that I will link down below, but I could totally make videos if you're interested. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. There's a red button right below this video. It says subscribe, and that will subscribe you. I would love to have you join this awesome community here on YouTube. We have a lot of fun. Otherwise, have a fabulous rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!